In this video, I'm going to cover combinations and permutations. What these problems have in common is they usually have the phrase, how many ways in the word problem. How many ways can we select a certain number from another number? So let's take a look at a review of the three different kind of problems that fall under this category: permutations, combinations, and combinations of types. So the first example we have is of permutations, ways that 6 horses can finish in the top 3 places in a race. Order is important. That is what we need to keep in mind when we're looking for a permutation problem. Is order important? If it is, then it's a permutation problem. We're going to calculate that using the PRB key on the calculator and then the NPR function. I will review that in a moment. A combination example: ways to make pizza with 2 out of 5 possible ingredients. We don't care which order ingredients are added to our pizza, so order is not important, and that's what makes this a combination problem. To do this calculation, we're also going to use the PRB key, but we are going to select the NCR function. C stands for combination. Combination of types is a little bit different, and we're going to calculate it without the PRB key. An example would be ways to get dressed with 2 different shirts, 3 different pants, and 5 different pairs of shoes. The order isn't important. We're just selecting one of each of those kinds of items. And the way we're going to calculate that is to just multiply the counts together. 2 times 3 times 5. That's what makes a combination of types problem pretty easy. The calculation is very simple. So it's usually a little bit of a challenge. You might recognize that this is a how many ways problem, but is it a combination or is it a permutation? Combination problem examples: making a pizza with different ingredients. I already talked about that. We don't care what order the ingredients are added, so order is not important. Selecting people for a committee. They're all on the committee. There's no particular positions, so we don't care about the order they were selected. Buying some items off of a list. When you come home from the store and you bought 5 out of the 10 items on your list, you don't care which order you bought them in. You just have those 5 items. And sometimes the question will actually state that order doesn't matter. That makes it easy. Permutation examples: the top X positions for the race, the top 2 positions, the top 5 positions. Electing people to specific positions like president and vice president and treasurer. We can think of that as a situation where the order that they were selected is for a particular position. Selecting things to be done in a specific order, like an instruction list. And the question may actually state that order matters. Identifying a combination of types problem. These look pretty different, so they shouldn't be too difficult to identify. There will be quantities of different things, and you will be picking one of each. For example, getting dressed with different number of shirts, pants, and shoes. Making a pizza with 1 meat, 1 veggie, and 1 cheese, and there's different quantities of those items. Picking a running shoe when there's 5 colors, 4 sizes, and 3 styles. Another example. So let's talk about using the PRB button on the calculator. When you do this, you are first going to enter the number of items that you are selecting from. This is the larger number. Usually for combination and permutation problems, you will have 2 numbers to work with. This is the larger number. You do this even before you click the PRB key. Next, you click the PRB key. You're going to get a menu, and that's going to allow you to select either NPR or NCR. The P stands for permutations. The C stands for combinations. Then you enter the number being chosen, the smaller number, and you click the Enter key. So let's go through some examples together. Get your calculator. We're first going to do picking 3 out of 4 when order doesn't matter, and then 2 from 5 when order matters. I'm going to pause my share here for a moment and switch over to my calculator. All right, there's my calculator. So as I said, we're going to start out with 3 out of 4. And it's going to be a combination. So we click 4 first, then the PRB key. Then I select number 2 here. Notice number 2 says NCR, and it will show up on your screen to confirm that you got the right one. And then the number 3. Then you click the Enter key, and we get our answer over here on the right-hand side. 4 NCR3, the answer is 4. So it's really quick when you know how to use this function. So let's do the next one, which is 2 out of 5. We enter the 5 first, and then the PRB button. This time, I select option 1, which is NPR, and then we are selecting 2. So I click on Enter, and there is our answer, 20, for that second example. All right, I'm going to return now to my slideshow. All right, there we go. So in this problem, we are ordering a pizza. They have a special price of $10 for a 3-topping pizza. How many different ways could we order a 3-topping pizza if there are 12 ingredients to choose from? Now, first step in a problem like this is that we need to decide, is this a combination or a permutation? Well, we've already decided that the way we add ingredients to a pizza, the order doesn't matter. So we are talking about a combination problem, which means we want to use that NCR function, which is under the PRB key. And we identify our large number, which is 12. And NCR, and our small number, which is 3. So that's what we want to get into our calculator. We are picking 3 from 12. Go ahead and do that in your calculator. I'm not going to pull up my emulator this time. I'd like you to be practicing this. And you should get the number 220. Let's look at our next example. This is a permutation word problem. There are 8 people in a tennis tournament. How many different ways could they finish in the top 3 places? We know that a race or a tournament and the way people finish in top places, order is important. So we want to use NPR. And our large number is the total number of people in the tournament. That's 8. And the small number is the top 3 places. So that's 3. So that's what we would want to enter into the calculator. First, the number 8, the PRB key, and then the NPR function, the number 3, and you should get the number 336. You will get some pretty large numbers sometimes with these combination and permutation problems. So don't be surprised by that. Finally, a combination of types word problem. A sandwich place allows you to pick your bread, cheese, and meat. There are 4 types of bread, 3 types of cheese, and 5 types of meat. How many different combinations of sandwiches could you order? Now, it's always a good idea to count the number of different items. What I mean by that is we have bread, that's 1 thing, cheese, that's 2 things, and meat, that's 3 things. So we're going to be multiplying 3 things together. If you want to be extra careful with a problem like this, you might do this and then say, okay, how many of that first thing? There are 4. How many of the second thing? There are 3. And how many of the third thing? There's 5. That makes sure you don't miss something. We multiply 4 times 3 times 5, and hopefully you're following along with me. And the answer to that question is 60. There are 60 different combinations. Now notice it uses the word combinations here, but we have to recognize that we're going to approach this one a little bit differently because we've got these different counts of things. All right, hopefully that helps. It's time for some practice.